Hello, everybody. Good evening. What is going on? Welcome to this evening's episode of Affluent After Dark. And tonight, let's see here. We are going to be speaking about. There's a live Q&A on the subject of my last three videos that I just posted, on which were broken down. There's actually one video broken down to three parts: parts 1, 2, and 3. And the subject is how I almost caught a felony behind a failed relationship. What happens is, so listen, again, like I said tonight, we're just having a live Q&A. Most people, a lot of people viewed my last three posts that I uploaded, which the subject of the conversation was how I almost caught a felony behind a failed relationship. And what I'm not going to speak on is, I'm going to just say this. It was inspired by unfortunate events, and I don't even want to put that out in a way that is disrespectful of the magnitude of what someone that I know is going through, because I know it's deeply hurting, it's deeply personal, and I'm not here to capitalize on that. That is not the reason. Okay, all I asked, the price of this free admission in this conversation is simply the gift of giving. I'm always about serving. And the only thing I ask you to do is that you share it out. It costs you $0, right? And I ask that if you are watching videos, a lot of times all I ask is that you repost. You see something that you like of mine and you tap and just repost it. You're a small business owner like myself, and this is not about business right now. It's really, if there's anything, the best way to help somebody is simply hit that like and hit that repost. That's it. It costs you nothing. But 6 years ago to the date, um, when I got the news of what happened to someone, and again, I don't want to trivialize that because I felt their pain, but when I heard what happened, it brought me back into the space that I was in and what happened to me in the as my marriage dissolved. Now, as I get into this, be very clear, if you haven't figured out by all my posts and the things I talk about, I absolutely am all about family. I'm all about family. Always have been, right? In fact, you may hear some noise in the background here because I got family that are here, and might hear some little kids and my little cousins, and I love them. You might hear their grandmother getting on them and stuff like that. It may happen, right? They may even punch in through the door like, "Hey, cousin Anthony, what are you doing?" And the truth is, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It has been fuel to my soul in a way that that is unexpected. Has filled me up, right? So, but again, that story that I told you guys is absolutely true. So what was happening was the marriage was breaking down. If I really want to go back to that, I have been, that relationship that I had, it was the longest. It was I don't know how to say it was long. It was a 12-year relationship where we were together for 7 and we were married for 5. And I had, and it was a blended family. Now, the things that I'm going to share are going to be things that share from me. This is not about talking about that other person. I don't know what's going on in their life. I don't care. I don't care to tear that down. I take accountability for me. Okay. So that's the space that we're going to focus on is me and what I learned and how I evolved and what I developed to in the process. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, then give me some hearts on that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see you. So I always start out by saying this as we get into these conversations. So in this space that we're in right now, where everyone's about relationships and all these, everyone's there's like this great battle, especially in the African American community, it seems like between our men and our women. And one thing about me is this is that I believe in how you how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So you need only pay attention to a person's actions as they're gonna, if you look at it, you pay a close attention to a person's actions, that'll tell you what it's like to be a part of them, right? It's kind of like us doing these lives right now. There's if if I tried to be a particular type of person all the time, eventually there's gonna be a breakdown, and you're gonna see the flaws in my nature and my character is gonna come out. The longer and longer I talk, if I was in some particular character, it's hard to stay in that character, right? So what I realize is that one thing about me is I love my community, absolutely love it, love my black sisters, love them to death, right? But there is something that's inherently happening that's wrong in our community right now. And for the life of me, um, I won't say I don't know how to fix it. I just recognize that there's a challenge. I also recognize what is beyond me. Now let's circle this wagon back around and point this back to the original topic. Let's get on that, right? So I found myself in this space where I was, and again, if you have questions, feel free to drop in. I found myself in this space where I'm loving on everybody. Had a blended family. Was things perfect? No, right? When I say about perfect, not perfect, meaning it wasn't coming home having these arguments or these um, passive aggressive arguments. It wasn't even like that. That's not the type of man that I am. I'm the type of guy that, I'm so, because I was raised by a single parent mother and I spent a lot of time by myself, and I had to go out and find all these different things. Now I've got family. My family, I do have, later on in life, I found out that I have a couple sisters, which I love them, and but a lot of my first cousins are what I consider to be, my brothers and sisters. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized, as much as they love me, there's a clear difference between a first cousin and a brother and sister. And without directly saying that to me, it was the actions of how they paired up together to protect and love on each other and stuff like that. And it makes you have a feeling of like, dang, I'm missing that thing. So in my life, what I ended up doing was, and I tell the story briefly, is I ended up going out and and finding my father at the kitchen table. Now, I fortunately, unfortunately, have been married twice, and I'm gonna say that. Um, and everyone's, let's not get into the whole excuses thing. Again, I take accountability for myself. Believe it or not, I used to be a yes man. I came out of the chute, a yes man, because I had been programmed with all these different things. Now, what I'm not gonna about to do, I'm not gonna get up here and start bashing my mother, God rest her soul, or my father, God rest their soul. But there was some inherent things that I had to deprogram and get out. In fact, when I left the house trying to find more of my masculinity. In fact, I was so desperate to get it, to get out and have a life, that I joined the army, because I was like, hey, this is where I can begin to grow and begin to evolve. And I know that I got a lot of women that are watching here, but I really wish that you guys would reach out and share this live out with some guys, because a lot of times this is conversations that we like to have. What's going on, Bernice? I see you guys. I see you. I see you. Yeah. So that journey began. So again, I'm not going to take you all the way back through there. How do we get to this point? Again, let's just kind of cut to the chase, because a lot of times I like to, I'm very descriptive. I'm very descriptive because I want to paint the picture for you of where I was at, what it was like, so that you feel it. That's just who I am as a nature. I like to communicate. I want to know, how do you feel? If I touch you here, and I'm not trying to be sexual in any way, let's be very clear. But if I do something, I want to know how it made you feel. What I was going backward about the family was, for me, it was always a pursuit of creating something that was mine. So thank you. I appreciate that. Eva. Take your time. It's part of your healing. Yeah. So I've already healed. Let's be very clear. No, let's be very clear. I've already healed. I'm not there. I'm nowhere remotely close to that space. I'm not looking for sympathy and I'm not looking for empathy. But I am sharing. And a lot of times when I go back in that space, I could never fully immerse myself back into the brokenness that created that space. I just can't. I can't go there. I can't. I got out of it. And being out of it, that was the whole goal that I was praying and working towards so that I could get to a space where I can be completely healed, right? Um, Healing is a constant journey, that is true. But again, receive my truth. I'm not there. I'm not in that broken space. And one thing I've learned is not to allow this, no mark on you, but not to allow someone to bring in their ideas of what they think I should be in that space. That's one of the reasons why I own wholeheartedly that it took me 3 years after my divorce to get healed. I remember, even though I don't know the specific day, I remember when I walked around the corner and that sunlight hit my face and I took a deep breath and I looked around and I said, "Oh my God, I'm free. I am free." And I went, hit the button on my car, opened it up. First of all, before I did that, I sat back and I looked at it and I was grateful for the gift. It was clean, she was shiny, slid in there, let that leather suck up my butt, slide into the seats, hit the XM, open the sunroof, and I was just thankful, 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 thankful of what I walked through. And I knew that I was free. Does that make sense? Yes, I did the work. Absolutely, Bernice, I did the work. I did the work clinically, I did the work spiritually, and I did the work personally. And those are the three things that I recommend that any and everyone do, is always do those. I'm always going to point somebody in that direction. And when I was at that lowest point, now that lowest point for me was when I was sitting inside of a jail cell because the breakdown of the marriage and what happened there was an altercation on the night of the 26th. And I remember it like it was yesterday because it was Hurricane Harvey, and it had came through Houston, so it was this massive storm, and I lived in Austin, Texas at the time, and I was in my son's room in the front room, and we were making some changes to his room, but I was laying on the floor. Now, mind you, since the April 1st, there was some problems before it started to happen somewhere around the new year of 2017. It was like the, the energy was off, and I was trying to figure out what was wrong. So for me, what I did in trying to figure out what was wrong, if I'm not getting the answers and I'm asking questions about what's going on, I'm like, okay. And it was like, hey, you know, financially, I was having a financially rough year. I was trying to get some things off the ground um, with a digital marketing agency that I was working on. And so I spent a lot of time and energy learning everything I could about digital marketing and online because I saw the power and the future of what was happening with the internet. And while everyone is on social media like they are now, especially back then, and especially way back, I said, no, this is a powerful tool that a business person can use to leverage to go to the next level. And I was all in it. I mean, completely all in it. And and so not right now. So what I did was, I had made a commitment. So I thought I was like, hey, let me work on this because I know this thing is going to take off. And at the time, I was also struggling with this with the calling that was inside of me. Now, I'm always going to tell people out of the gate, I'm not a preacher. I don't carry the title of pastor, but I do understand, right, that everyone has a ministry. And so I'm cool with that. But I want to be straight because I might drop something out here and I'm sipping on a little something right now. I'm not perfect, but I'm the perfect person to be in the darkness. That's the reason why we do Affluent After Dark. That's why we do it in the dark, because it was that dark space. Does that make sense? So And because of this way, it allows me to walk in spaces that someone with that title can't go because they have too many social responsibilities and social barriers that keep them from doing certain things. Does that make sense? What's going on, Bang? I see you. So you had that little voice and chose digital marketing. Yes, I did. And if you go back, I had a lot of videos. I need to make a lot of them public because I probably got about 100 videos on my YouTube channel that that probably got 5 views each. Probably got 5 views each. Um, and I'm really grateful for TikTok because, man, when you're trying to walk out and do something that's different, and you're surrounded by people, oh, don't get me on that. I'm gonna come back around to that. Okay. So in this space during that time, I'm really gung ho about it. I'm spending a lot of time on it. I'm doing a lot of information marketing. Um, I'm doing a lot of information marketing, and I'm messing with sales funnels, and I'm messing with teaching people things that I was learning about business because I was a business owner, a real business owner. I should say was, am, and I had my own trucking company that I brought up. I used to be a penny per mile truck driver, and I worked my way up the ladder and was able to purchase my own truck, and then I grew that. And then I had my own freight brokering agency. So I don't really talk a lot about it a lot because it wasn't something I was really passionate about. But here lately, God has shown me that, man, if I gave you this thing, it's your thing, right? And so, anyway, I'm building this, I'm trying to create it, and but money is tight, and I didn't want to go back to driving a truck. So, in the process of that, I didn't. There's things that you don't know as a man, and I didn't know. For one, I didn't know that the level of stress that I was putting on my then spouse at the time. I didn't know. Everyone reacts differently to stress. Everyone reacts differently to financial stress. And maybe I just wasn't in tune and I didn't hear what they were saying. But when I did hear it, and I remember specifically when I got it and I heard it and I saw it and I said, I wanted to fix it. And again, I'm just keeping this in context of the story, and I'm keeping this in context of accountability to myself. Let's be very clear about that. Okay. So so in doing that, I said, okay, I see what this has done, and I want to make sure that I repair this, and I want to bring us back together because I don't want to lose you, and I don't want to lose us, and this can be fixed. I can fix this. So I began making steps to go back, to get back behind the wheel because by that time I had sold off my truck, and there's a whole nother story behind that, and gotten out of it. Again, I wasn't passionate about it, but nothing changed. And I said, hey, how do I change myself even more? How do I evolve? Because I already spiritually, emotionally, I've got this battle inside of me for my voice, and things are happening the way they want to. That I planned them out. I'm like, God, what's wrong? What's wrong? And the truth is, I was carrying a lot of stuff from before, a lot of baggage, a lot of things in life that I won't even break down in this live. But the truth is, it was like it gets to you. So you can't walk through the mud and not get dirt on you. And the truth is, I was walking through some mud. I was walking through some areas in my life that I picked up that I'd been in for quite some time, and I hadn't let it go. And it's like it needed to be changed. So I had a friend of mine that at the time his name was John, and these guys named Paul Beam, some other guys had this event. They still have these events called Man Camp, and um, so I got invited out to this thing called Man Camp, and it's all men, and we go out and then we would get these. We had tents and places where we stayed, and it was just a weekend where we would go out, we would do activities, but we would praise and we would worship together. And man, let me tell you, um, I went But when I got there was a move on my life, like I cannot put it into words. And I found myself just calling out. In fact, I found myself raising my hand and praying. And I never was a person to do all this. I never was that dude. I wasn't that man. I wasn't that guy. I was always just more reserved. But I was carrying this burden. And initially, when I went there, I said, "Man, I need to go here because I wanted to save my family." I was like, "Something that I got to do. What I have to do, God." And I remember just pouring out during worship, and it just the spirit just hit me, and then these tears just started coming down my face. And the next thing you know, I went out into this open field. It was because we were outside, and while the worship was going on, and I just fell on my knees, and I said, "God, I surrender." I said, "Man, I surrender, man. I surrender. Like, just take it off of me. What do I have to do to get this off of me?" Because the truth is, if I'm gonna put a pin in that and come back, I knew what it was like to have His Spirit on you, right? I knew what it was like. It's like it was like a Midas touch. Like everything I touched turned to gold. And for some reason, for a certain amount of years, it was like everything that I touched just withered. It's like nothing would grow. And I couldn't, for the life of me, understand it. I'm like, what is this? What's going on? What's going on? And then I said, I let go. And we had one of the things that was very powerful about that weekend was we had this box that they had created. And it was kind of like, if you can imagine, like this arc, right? And they had these two beams on each side. And there was this like a box in the middle, and it had a floor. But you would, and it also they had made like a little bench. So basically, you would go inside of this box, and the intention was they had these markers, and you wrote down on the inside all the things that you were taking to God that you wanted to release. And let me tell you, you didn't put your name in there. You just wrote, and everybody went in there one on one throughout the whole weekend. And sitting in there, you read on the wall all these things, all these burdens that these men were carrying to the table. And but I went inside of there, and I was moved at what was on my heart, the things that I wanted to take. And I began to read on the wall what other men were dealing with. There were some men that were dealing with molestation. There were men that were battling with sexuality. There were men that were battling with adultery. There were men that were battling with pornography. It was some deep stuff. It was deep, and it just moved because they were earnestly there, just like myself, surrendering. Yes. So I wrote on that wall all these personal things in high detail. Boom. Come out. We continue. At the end, we all made a big circle. Now we're talking about maybe 50, 60 men, right? And we lit that joke on fire. And when I say we lit it on fire, it was so primal, yet so powerful as a warrior. And everyone was screaming out and yeah. And it was like you felt this move. I can't explain it to you ladies, to you guys that are out there. If you've never experienced it, it was like if you were in the military, and I'm ex-military, army to be specific, when we would give our hoorah and we were getting ready. It was like magnified times 100. And you could see the billows of smoke and fire just going up. And that whole thing just went up in the flames. Went up in the flames. He said, release it. It's done. You have now committed. So it was like I committed and I was in. And I began my journey. That's when I began my real journey. Well, that was also what I didn't. Again, I'm speaking from hindsight now. I didn't know what was about to happen to me. I went there fighting for that marriage. But the revelation was once I released it, then God had to show me who I was attached to. That was hard. That was hard. That was hard. 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 You know, there's an old fable that says something about ways that they would hunt um, monkeys in the jungle. They put something shiny in a cage and they have slits in it. And the animal would come in with his hand like this and then grab it, and he couldn't get it out. So it would come back in the morning and the animals would all be there because they refused to let go, and they kill him, right? And that's what I realized what I was doing. He was telling me to let go, and I still was holding on. I still was like, no, no, no. It's her. No, no. That's my beautiful queen. No, God, no, no, no. Like, let go. I let go. Eventually, but not right then. So then the again what I'm going through it, so then all this person starts going out. I mean, it got worse. It's like the more spirit filled that I got, the worse it got in my home. Like the absolute worst it got in my house. And it was like no sooner did I would go out to work because I had picked up a job and I was working like from midnight, from like 8 o'clock. I would leave for work at 8 o'clock and I wouldn't come back till like 8 o'clock the next morning because I was driving from Austin to Dallas and back. And if you're not familiar with Texas, and as big as it is in Texas, that's like if you could do it perfectly, you'd be doing 8.5, 9 hours. But it ended up being like a 10, 12 hour day to pick it up, go out there, turn around, and come back 6 days a week. And I so desperately was like, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home and get this. I want to go home. But really, what it was I now understand that it was you don't have to feel like that. You don't have to feel like that. I didn't feel like that when I met him. Or I don't want to feel like that then. But that's the space that I was in. And rushing home, trying to make love to him and do all things like this, and then just, hey, here's the money to get us out of this debt. Here's what I'm doing all these things. Just yeah. And then I began to find different things. Again, I'm not going to go through all the specifics because um, I do have children in the audience and things like that. And while we're having an adult conversation, there's just certain things that, again, focus on me. But I found these things. And when I found them, it rocked me like it broke me, man. I can't put it no other way. It broke me. It broke me to see the things that I saw, what I read, and what this person was doing. It 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 broke my spirit. And I never felt that crushed and that low in my life. And and as I say this, right, I'm out again speaking to myself. I'm no angel, right? And I'm not going to get into this whole thing about saying, hey, men can give it this shit, but they can't take it back. But there is some truth to that, right? But it was when you have to give an account for everything that you've done, there's no way to move forward without giving an account. Anxiousness. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anxiousness. Um, Anxiety definitely played a part. The thing I'm most grateful about during that time period was I had a few years earlier I had went into I'm gonna come back to that. I went to the doctor and ended up having a blockage in my heart, and I ended up having to get a stent in my chest. And I'm so grateful that I had that because had I gone and I do look at that as a God preparing me for what was about to happen. He began to prepare me and prepare me for what was about to happen because had I not, my heart would have exploded with all the stuff that was going on. I mean, it would have, literally would have. But found all this stuff, staying out, gone, all these things like that, and it was nerve wracking. So fast forward back to the night of the 26th, and I wake up and I get out of bed, right? So I already gone through this, and I knew all these things that happened. This person that told me, "Oh no, no, I'm a changed person. I'm this, I'm that, and blah 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 blah." But it was 7 days later, and it was the same energy was right back there. And so so I overheard a conversation that they were having with this person whom I had never met. Now, modern day time, I've seen them, but have never conversed or interacted with them. Don't know where they came from. Couldn't tell you. Don't know. Don't care. Honestly, don't care. But um, because the week prior, the police had come to my door at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and this person had sent the police to the house, and they had, again, I couldn't put it together. Like, why this person normally go down and lay down and go to sleep, and this person was getting up, getting out, couldn't go to sleep, kept going to the sunroom, coming back. Like, what? Why can't you just go to sleep? I get up, get water. What are you doing? They're like, what? You never asked me how I go get water. All this kind of crazy stuff, right? Then doot 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 doot. 3 o'clock. Cops. Hey, we need to see this person. Yeah, who are you? Well, this person says this. I'm like, come on outside. I'm like, yeah, come outside. Cool. They're looking for you. Who's looking for them? So and so. Really? Really? Okay. Everything just cracked. All of a sudden, boom. Oh no, don't leave me. This, that, and the other. Da, 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 da. Hindsight 2020, I should have left right then and there. I should have left. I should have packed my bags and left. But I didn't. I didn't. I was a fool. I don't say, let me take that back because I'm not a fool. I was a man who was fighting for his relationship. I was fighting for his marriage. And one of the things that I'm most proud of and I stand 10 toes down is when the going got rough, I didn't move. And nobody can take that away from me. And I proved the wherewithal of who I am and the type of man that I am when I stood and I endured because I had made a pact, I made a vow for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, through thick and through thin. So, having seen this person in the lowest form of their life, watching them in this space, I said, no, this is not the time to leave them. This is the time to stand by them. This is the time to continue to pray more for them, to stand there. God, come and do a move. Come on. Because it was like, when I tell you that it magnified the power, I can't explain it to you. Like, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about since that day what has moved over my life when I stand in it. And when I was standing in it and I'm watching stuff, I, to a certain extent, I'm kind of used to it now in a certain extent, right? But when it was brand new, it's like, he could just, when I say reveal stuff to you, there was things I didn't have to go look for anything. I didn't have to do. It was just like, just opened up. And again, I'm figuring he'll do this because they had left out before and been gone for a couple of days and they came back home and I can't tell you I was so happy and they were so contrite. But truth is they went and did what they wanted to do and they came back and just kept piling up and again learning, 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 but still standing. Not embarrassed about any of it. Not embarrassed about any of it. I call me a simp for my family, I'll be a simp for my family. Whatever. But you still have to learn. So fast forward to that night, like I said, I catch that. I'm broken. I'm just complete and utterly broken. I couldn't take it anymore. It had took me to my last nerve. It had utterly destroyed my self respect. It had destroyed my self esteem. I was embarrassed at a level that I couldn't even put it in because I knew all of the emails that I read and all the things that had happened and all the stuff. And, you know, and then it was a woman. Now, I'm not gay and I'm not homophobic, but it really hurt because this is the person that, we served and went to church together and all that. Then it's like this. And when I heard voicemails of how they was talking to him like they were trash and all that, it hurt me. It hurt me. And there was a season where I was in that space for a minute where I was so broken that I didn't want nothing to do. I was, and I'll tell you how I got healed from that. Um, you're right. He gave you eyes to see. He did. He gave me eyes to see. And I'm gonna tell you something else. What happened as well. I see our audience is dwindling a little bit, so we're going. Whoever's supposed to hear it is supposed to hear it. Supposed to be here. Supposed to be here. I'm not trying to dance a jig for people. I'm not. It's enough trash that's out there that's getting people's attention. And if they want to go get the trash, go get the trash. But over here, we're going to speak the truth and we're going to help those who want to be helped and we're going to continue to empower those who want to be empowered. Because, again, like I said, I was in a dark space and I needed someone to speak to me. And I'm going to continue to speak to that person in the darkness, be the voice of light in the darkness. Um, so there was a time, again, I actually have it all chronologized because I was, it's funny how things happened in my phone, how I kept it. But I never forget. Um, and this is a God honest truth. And this is how God began to work in my life, or one of the many things that He did. So I went in, this person that took off, right, on a weekend or something like that. It was something that was supposed to happen. I'm like, why they left? As soon as they left, I felt it in my spirit. It was like, you know. And if you've ever had a happy home or you've been at peace inside your house, whenever your spouse or your lover starts to act differently, it disrupts your entire life because you're synchronized together. You're synchronized. Everything you do, you move together. The kids, you pick them up. Hey, I got this. I'll be there at 3. Everything is synchronized. Okay, I go get groceries. I put gas in the car. You do everything, right? And then all of a sudden, this person gets off. It's like, wait, wait, wait. It's like riding on 3 wheels. He's like, wait, 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 wait. What's going on? Wait, what happened? But they left out, and I felt this thing. So as soon as they did it, I immediately went into the bathroom and I fell on the side. I'll never forget, I fell on the side of the tub because I was beginning to pray. No sooner than I sat down, it couldn't have been no more than 5 seconds. In the other room, because it's the master bathroom. Right next is the bedroom, right to the right. I fall onto my knees. In the other room, blaring, the computer was on. Boom! It just started blaring. La 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 la. Somebody's talking. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. I, I didn't get scared. For some reason, I didn't get scared. I remember when I was a little kid and I would get these nightmares or I'd be up when I'd be sleeping next to my mama years ago, right? I had to be like 7, 8 years old. And I hear this thing and I always get petrified and I'd be squeezing on my mama and it was like something was there, but I didn't get that fear when it happened. I got up calmly, walked into the room. It was at my desk. My desk was in the room, in the bedroom. I sat down, and it was Pastor Stephen Furtick preaching a sermon. And the name of that sermon was It Will Happen. It Will Happen. And I went and I got my phone and I began to take notes while he preached, and I listened to it. When I tell you, and if you, I don't think he even still has it up. You may be able to find it somewhere bootleg on YouTube. But this sermon was called "It Will Happen." When I tell you that everything that sermon spoke about was preparation for everything that I was about to go through. I later learned that whenever God speaks to you, you know it's God because he's either going to prepare you or he's going to propel you. Again, if you have a vision, two ways you know it's going to be him. You question what it is. It's either going to prepare you or it's going to propel you. And this was preparation. There were other things I was getting prepared for that I was getting because in this newfound um, connection and relationship building, I started gathering songs that I would listen to. Lecrae was one of them. It was uh, Tasha Cobb. It was T Mac. You know, it was all these ones, but these certain certain ones, Oceans. It was so many different artists. I don't even want to try to name them, but it was specific songs, right? So it sounds like the Dark Night of the Soul. I don't know what that is, but yeah, it was a journey. It was a journey. So lo and behold, this thing happens. This debacle. Come back to that night. We go into this fight, you know, and things were said, and I regret to this day. I still do because that is my mother. That's the child of my mother. The, that is the mother of my child. That we got in an altercation, and I don't want to go. It's not that I'm afraid to go there in that space. I want to hide it. It is just I hate that it got that place. I actually hate it. I hate it. And what it did to my family and what it did to me and what it did to my son and what it did to us. Um, wouldn't wish that on anybody. Don't wish it on anybody. It was something that hadn't been in my home. I didn't come from a home. I didn't come from an abusive home. I didn't come from an abusive father. I didn't come from all those things. I didn't come from it. But I will share with you this. What broke me was when the person asked me what I was thinking in that moment of catching them back speaking to this person again. And oddly enough, it was crazy, crazy. And defending this person and all the nasty things and the nasty text messages and the nasty Facebook messages this person was sending me and stuff like that, like just crazy stuff, man. Uh, man, it and I said, I just want to blow your head off right now. And I didn't mean that literally, like I wanted to harm him. And yes, I owned a firearm, but I wasn't even trying to go get it. Like, I wasn't gonna do that. Like I didn't want that. Um, Definitely don't fight the people that you love. But then they threatened to put me in jail, and I was like, what more shit can you throw on top of me? What more can you do to me? And things happen. And I remember it was raining outside, was so surreal to have the police officer at my house, all in my house. Like, what's happening? Like, what is this? Then I'm going up, and I'm, I'm just next thing you know, so fast forward, I'm in this cell. Now the hardened criminals will say, "Ah, man, you was only in for one night." You know what I'm saying? You ain't do nothing. You was just in for one night. I also been to war, and you don't want to do that either. Just because I made it through, don't mean I want to do it again. And yeah, it's quite a threat because it was the only thing that I kept hearing in my mind was "et tu, Brute." Et tu, Brute. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, we're talking about that's when Julius Caesar was stabbed in the back by his best friend, Brutus. He said, "You too, Brutus? You too, Brutus? What? You? Why would you do this to me? You're the person that stood at the altar with tears in your eyes when we said I do. I was the person that was holding your hand and rubbing your stomach when you were giving birth. What are you talking about? Why would you want to? I never did anything to you. Why would you want to hurt me? I don't want to hurt you. I fight people for you. I go to work and do the craziest of shit, to get through because I want to get home and get home to that peace, get home to my family, get home to that. Why would you want to do that to me? Again, wake up call, right? So I'm sitting there and I never forget. Um, and the steel bunk, the steel toilets, and etched on the wall. I'm looking around. I finally look up and I look around, and I'm in this jumpsuit, and I see on the wall somebody had put Jesus on the wall, like on the brick. So I went and I rubbed it, thinking it was a pencil, and it wouldn't come off. I went, I rubbed it again. Don't ask me why. I rubbed it again, and it wouldn't come off. It wouldn't come off. Nothing I did, it wouldn't come off. And in that moment, I felt something say, "I'm with you." He said, "I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you." And I fell on my knees right then and there. And I began to praise him and thank him and pray and ask him. And I said, "Lord, if you get me out of this, if you get me out of this, I promise you, I'll use my voice, I'll be a fisher of men. I promise you, if you get me out of this, if you get me out of this, if you get me out of this." And I stood up, I looked at that warped silver mirror that they had in front of me, and I looked at myself and I said, "We're gonna fight. I trust you." I began saying the phrase, "I trust you, God. I trust you. I trust you." I still say it to this day. I trust you. I trust you. I trust you. Next series of events that happened was, you know, nobody in the family had any money to bail me out, and just so happened that I had the job that I had, the a series of, I mean, again, I'm not gonna take you through all these different things because there's so many things that have happened through the years, right? That have happened, but I will say this because it was very important. The bail bondsman was a believer, and it was like the person sent me into, by my own actions, but also set up. I got sent into this space, and the space that was supposed to chew me up, I found the greatest help. Like, people were there, and one of them was the bail bondsman. Her name was Debbie. I never forget. She was like, "Anthony, um, somehow we worked the deal where she went. Somebody gave her my credit card, my debit card, and no, She took it on consignment that I would pay as soon as I got out. That's what happened. And I was like, really? So I got out with no money, with nothing. And as soon as I got out, I went there. And when I went there, when I tell you, that woman hugged me and she began to prophesy to me. Oh, I forgot about that. Forgot about that. I forgot about that. And she told me this line, the first of several times I began to hear this. They said, prepare for my son's name. Prepare for him. 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 And I began to prepare. And I began to take it. I didn't know what that meant. I said, prepare for him. Prepare for him. Prepare for him. He's going to need you now more than ever. Prepare for him. And the greatest gift. So I went on again. I'm skipping around, but my life had changed. The next thing you know, um, and it's not. This is the truth. If my family sees it, it's the truth. No one would even let me stay on their couch. I never forget. Have family members. Nobody would let me stay with them. And it's not like I had this bad relationship with them, but it was like nobody had a place for me to stay. When I tell you that cut like a knife, that cut deep. It cut deep because I would never have turned my back on any of them. And it just so happened there was a man by the name of there was a guy that had named Ben who had gone through a divorce about 6 months earlier, and our oldest son had went to go stay with his father. So we had a room open. So I had rented that room out to him for 6 months while he was going through his divorce. And he had just got a place not too long afterwards. And he said, Anthony, you can come stay with me. And he blew up this air mattress in his efficiency apartment. And I slept on that air mattress for 3 months. For 3 months, I slept on that air mattress. A week later, I get a phone call from my agent. I'm a professional actor. I'm not acting now. I'm just giving you my truth. But I've done commercial work. I don't say that to brag. It's just my truth. I hadn't heard from my agent in like, God, over a year. Well, not over a year, but probably it was about a year. He says, hey, I want you to come in and audition for this part. Long story short, he said they're looking for a mechanic. Well, just so happened the way that I dress, I always took a professional approach to how I dress with trucking. So I never considered myself to be a trucker. I consider myself to be a professional transporter. Again, it's a difference. Truckers are nasty and scruffy. I am a professional transporter, and I carried myself as such. I did my business and stuff. I didn't stink. I was clean. My boots were shined. So I had Dickies uniforms that were tucked in. The boots were shined. That's how I always carried myself. They said, "Hey, we looking for a mechanic." I walked in looking the way that I was working for work. I know you guys see me in suits and stuff like that. I've done everything from white collar to blue collar. But long story short, I got the part. And that was my a huge saving grace because that gave me the finances that I needed at the time to go out and get my own place and get away from that. And then other things happened, different jobs came, and whoop 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 whoop, and things just started turning up. In fact, I'll tell you this: ever since that happened, my income tripled and continued to grow ever since. So that was 15,000. This person was saying that they wanted to be with them because of money. They got money and, we got this. And I was like, I'd never heard this person talk like that before. Trust me, I got good taste. Right. But when it happened, it was like somebody had said earlier about 30 pieces of silver. Yeah. You know, they took the fool's gold because everything that I earned, I was going to be bringing it back home gladly. But instead, what it did was it afforded me a life and a lifestyle that I desired anyway. And and through tithing and offering and stuff that I was able to do. Now, mind you, throughout this process, and I still was broken. It took me 3 years to get healed, but all this whirlwind of things were happening. I it was happening. So I kind of wanted to give you the story, the background story as to what happened that led to that, right? What's going on, blessed Daniela? See you other guys coming in. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for sharing and for the hearts and the likes. Again, we're just sharing truth. This is a live Q&A to the last 3 videos that I posted, which were how I almost caught a felony behind a failed relationship. Now, you say, where'd the felony come in at, Anthony, out of all that story? Well, every single day, when I say every single day, I wanted to do some very, 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 if this is the good shoulder and this is the bad, he was speaking every day, every day, every day, every day. Go get him, go do this, anything deviant that you can think of, it was there. What's going on, Shelly? Nice to see you. It was there. So fighting that demon, and see, again, that's the thing I want you to say, because someone, again, will spark this because someone lost their life behind an impulsive moment. I don't know any of the specifics. I don't know, but someone lost their life. So it was something in this area of emotions, something that happened. And so the thing is, if you're going through that, do not succumb to it. What I'm saying is don't give in to it. It can be tough. And I'm saying this because as a man who went through it, I went through that one slip, that I say a banana slip, but it was a big banana slip that cost me, Sydney, going through the judicial system. My record and all that stuff is clean. I don't have anything on there. That's all done, dismissed and all that, right? But and I was embarrassed for many, many years. And then because of different restraints and stuff I had me, I couldn't speak. So if you can imagine me, this man who's talking is out here, I couldn't speak. I lost my mojo. I lost my desire to be creative, to create content, to do anything. I was just living, you know, living. And I was surrounded by a, a massive amount of abundance. But I was so hurt and distraught over what I'd lost that I couldn't focus on the thing that I had. It was like this big blind spot. If this is what it felt like this, right? You could see my mouth, but you can't say anything else because this thing was always there. It was always there. And I will tell you this, again, I'll tell you this. You guys are making comments. You haven't really asked me any questions, and that's cool. But I'm gonna tell you this because here's the secret sauce. It was the secret sauce that freed me. Because I always tell you about how I got freed. I did the work. First of all, it was I did the work clinically. Well, through court order, they gave me they gave me 36 weeks of 36 weeks of anger management. I was pissed. I was mad because I sat down with this counselor and I told her, but again, I'm gonna tell you the story too. It's funny how it works. Because I just poured it out to her. Great detail, everything that happens. She listened. I never forget. She says, Anthony, you're one of the good ones. She said, you're 95% of there. It's that 5% that we got to get. We can't lose you to the system. I sat back and I'm like, okay. Oh man, just give me a couple weeks. She said, I'm giving you 36 weeks. I said, what? What? She said, because you think it's rough now, but this is the greatest gift for you. And she was a believer. She had this British, I think British or Irish accent. I'll never forget. You know, Anthony, oh, don't worry about that harlot. You know, that's what she said. That's a Jezebel spirit. You know, don't pay attention to it. And The first 4 weeks, I was mad. I was pissed. I had to try to get out there, and I'm already up under this crunch. And then they were messing with me at the job that I had because I left and all this. Not, I had to leave in the middle of the week to go. But let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, baby. Let me tell you, that was the greatest gift of them all because I ended up having group therapy, group therapy to talk it out, to talk to other men, to see what they were going through, what they were walking by, to talk to a therapist and she break it down. See, one of the greatest things that happened in there, in the end, I was clapping. I went in mad. By the end of it, one of the things that happens is at the end of it, because they know when you're leaving, because we're all in the same group together for all this time. And they said, I was honored when the men all as a one, they said, Anthony, you are a righteous dude. I said, man, I hate that that happened to you, but you're a good man. And to this day, there are a few men that we still keep in touch with each other. We still send each other text messages. We still encourage each other. Some of these men had drug problems. Some of them had really broken homes. And I was like, and I was my brother's keeper. And I'm most proud of that. I have to keep my emotions together because I'm most proud of that. I'm proud of walking through that. I'm proud of meeting them. I'm proud of encouraging them. I'm proud that I was able to get that out and someone heard that. That helped me so much. And then I got one-on-one counseling. And then I had these beautiful brothers like Chazare Harvey who poured into me. This man is a dynamic individual who poured into me and gave me that big brother slash fatherly advice that elevated me beyond comparison. The man that you see today that you smile at, like he had to evolve. And I remember vividly. And if I wouldn't have, you say, Anthony, how'd you avoid felony? Because if I would have acted on that impulse, if I would have acted on that impulse to get them back, to hurt them, I would have lost out on all of the wonderful things that I've done in my life to this day, sitting here in front of you guys. TikTok wasn't around, you know. I'm getting national commercials all across, being the host of these major galas and being the host in front of all these thousands of people and all of a sudden taking mentorship, these I am going to say this, multimillionaire mentors who came in and said, Anthony, I want to talk to you. You've got something. Let me talk to you. Let me share this with you. And pouring into me for free, for free. And I say that not to impress you, but to impress upon you. It was T.D. Jakes that said, when you commit, click, you kill your future. You kill your future. Think 2 weeks ahead. I didn't want to be on television. Wanted someone tell the story. I didn't want my son to go up and say, man, my dad offed himself. So and when pressure comes, let me off. No, I stood. I stood and I had to get stronger in the face of all the worst fucking crushing things ever. I had to stand up. I had to reinvent myself. I had to look in the mirror. I had to say no. I had to hear that voice. I had to be reminded of what my father had told me, of who I was, and hear it reinforced again. You are loved. You are needed. You are necessary. They would lose something without you. They didn't do anything to you. You never lost anything. Change your perspective. And I changed my perspective and I stepped away. But here's that one thing I kept telling you guys that freed me. This freed me. This freed me. This singular thing freed me. You want to know what it is? Do you want to know what it is? I don't know. Type and tell me. Do you want to know what that one thing is that freed me? Jay says yes. Jay, yes, God ordered my steps. Here's that thing. The thing that freed me was when I admitted that I loved them. I know. I know. It's so simple. I was harboring all this anger and hate. And I said, I love you. I loved you. You got me. You got me. Everybody plays the fool sometime. No exceptions to the rule. Man, when I admitted that, the only people that can hurt you are the people that you love. You don't have this same kind of hurt, anger, and animosity to the people that you don't know. Yeah. Lose the battle to win the war. You got me. Touche. You did that. You got me. Now it's up to me if I allow you to continue to have that level of control over my life. You don't. You don't. And I don't have to hate you. I can forgive you. I can forgive you. I don't have to wish anything bad on you. But then when you start reading the word, I told you, read the NIV and read the NLT. Okay? That's my personal suggestion because they both read like in the language that we speak, which is current. When you start reading Old English, which is centuries old, it does not make sense. Ye therefore thou art thou. I don't know what that is, man. Let's be real. And I'm an intelligent man. But the truth is, yeah. It's like, oh, okay. Now I can forgive. Because I realize when you read that there's nothing new up under the sun. Ephesians. Was it Kanye said, only halfway read Ephesians. If you haven't heard Jesus is King CD, you need to hear that. Because man, that got me through things. And I knew Kanye was gonna go through some stuff after he created it. It's just part of the process, man. But yeah, I don't have to touch him because vengeance is his and we all reap what we sow. And the person that hurt you you think they got away scot clean. They didn't get away scot clean. Hurt people. And I began to understand and I began to teach my son to pray for his mother. Pray for her. She needs you now more than ever. Pray. And then I began to pray. Now, was it easy in the beginning? No, hell no. Hell no, it wasn't easy. I'm going to tell you right now. No, you don't want to pray for your enemy. What? No. Get them. I want it. No. Now, I don't even think about that stuff. You know how peaceful I sleep? Like a little old baby. Like a baby. Roll over. Peaceful. I'm peaceful because it's true. Hey, you got me. All right. And then as I moved through life, I'm grateful. And again, I went back. I told you there was a period I dated throughout that period of time. I went back to each person that I dated during that period of time, and I apologized because I was hurt. So and mind you, I wasn't doing anything reckless and foolish, right, per se, right? Um, I'm a man, but even that had to be curtailed of your physical, right? And it's like you because I still was fighting it on the inside, and I had to apologize because I wasn't ready. And then I allowed somebody. I cleared out my heart, and the biggest test was when I allowed somebody to come in, and I loved somebody else again. And while it didn't last long term, it let me know that I still could love. And that was the thing. I needed to know that I still could love and I wouldn't be stuck or harboring this bitter thing against the next woman, the next person. I don't want to do that. And I didn't do it. and I'm happy. Now, in this season of my life, you didn't ask me this, but I'll give it to you voluntarily. Yeah, love is still there. I'm I'm not dating, and I'm go out. People ask me all the time. You may catch some lives and stuff with people, but I don't. I'm focused on growing my business. I've been given a tremendous gift in the affluent man and what I do for men. And in this season of my life, I just want to focus on that. I focus on, I'm going to tell you this because I want you to understand there was a lot of things, the revelations that I had in my life. And I realized that, you know, I know there may be majority of women that are watching right here, but the truth is this is going to be recorded anyway and it's going to be shared. I realized how much emphasis throughout my life I had put on placing on a woman. Now, women have value and they have their place, but the key is they have their place in due time. And what I realized was that as a man, I'm a builder. As a man, I'm a builder. We are builders, right? I have to be building and working on something. As men, this is what I foundationally teach. We are the foundation of the home. You hear them talk about us being the head and all that. Yeah, that's no reverse engineer it. We're the foundation of the home. Think about where you're at right now, man or woman. If that foundation began to rumble and crack and is uneven, how does that make you feel? Do you feel safe? Is that a place you want to stay in? I don't think so. So as a man, as the foundation, I got to make sure that I got my foundation secure. And that foundation is made up of 4 pillars. Pay very close attention to me right now. We're about to teach. 4 pillars: faith, family, fitness, and finances. And I break them all down to you. Faith. A man has to have a relationship with God. That means if you're out here, you're making a ton of money, you're physically fit, but you don't have that, you are going to be tested. There is going to come a place in your time in your life where you're going to be tested. And if you do not have your spiritual wherewithal dug in deep, baby, you're going to get rocked at some point. You're going to get rocked. So you need that. Number 2, that's right, unstable. Okay? Family. A man has to be the teacher of his family. He has to be willing to teach. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, before when I was married, it's not that we didn't have dinners at the table. It's not that I didn't teach and talk and communicate because I did. But what I didn't teach and talk and communicate on was the word because I didn't have that relationship with the Creator, with God. So I wasn't coming back and having that conversation with them in the years prior the way that I should have. Does that make sense? Okay. So be a teacher is responsibilities in being in that position. Number 3 is fitness. You see me doing that video, um uh what's it called? The running man, that new running man, that ghost, what do you call it? Ghost Town DJs. I've been watching you. That's what I looked like at the time. Now I picked up a little bit of weight here in the past, but I'm actively working to change that because I lost like 75 pounds. I look nothing like that. And to get back into your fitness. Why is fitness important? It's important because as a man, you got to be able to protect your woman and you got to be able to play with your woman. Take that how you want, but take it. It's important. It's not beat around with it. Okay. So when you get out of shape, you get a big gut. It impacts your stamina. What you bring into the table. How you bringing it. That's real. Okay. You keep your stomach flat. You keep your cardiovascular going. Your soldier gonna be ready at attention to handle his business when it's time to dig into that foxhole. Yeah, ladies, go ahead, hit their hearts. You know it's true. And being able to protect her, protect your family. Lastly, is finances. I didn't activate this. I didn't understand the power of this. And people tried to, people will try to talk you out of it. When I understood that in reading, you understand that God gives you all these promises. That's why I tell you, go read it in plain English. When you tithe, it activates a promise. That's the only place where he says you can test him. Try me in tithes and offering. And I tried it. And he multiplied my income like crazy. He did some crazy stuff. When I talk about I didn't have nothing, then all of a sudden there was something that was bigger than what I ever had. You know, it happened because you want to be able to be a provider. You want to be able to provide for what he's given you. And when he gives you that and you take care of it, then he's going to multiply it. You see what I'm saying? That's your foundation. Faith. Yeah, not the foxhole. Yeah, the foxhole, baby. The foxhole. You want the foxhole? Got to be able to get in them trenches and fight. Stake your claim. Piss on trees and mark territory. You got to be able to do that. All right. I told you I could say things that ministers and pastors don't say. They can't say it. They hemmed up. But I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to speak it to you in a way that you understand, because this is what I was begging. I got tired of when I went to people that when, again, I'm not knocking clergy because I know that they're limited and they're needed, but they were limited in how they could speak to me and what they could say to me. And while people are talking reckless, we need people to speak straight and give it to us. And I thank God for my father, and I thank God for men, even in the mature stages of life, who will say, hey, 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 check this out. You don't need that. Do this. This was important, right? My my bonus one is fashion. Because look, you want to look good. Man, I looked at that picture of me doing that running man. That was one of my favorite shirts. Some purple shorts, some old purple shorts, a Nike shirt, some Adidas shoes, Adidas. I mean, I was straight suburban dad, man. I mean, horrible, horrible, horrible. Like, horrible, man. That's like, I would never do that again, man. Never do that again. I keep my stuff together. It's important. It's important how you do it. Yeah. You don't forget who you are in the process as a man. So that's the foundation just for men. I'm gonna go a little bit further because there are women that are here, and you're gonna hear me say this all the time. The woman, so that's how you create your foundation. Once your foundation is laid, first of all, you got to know what you're building on. What good is to build a house on sinking sand? No, you build it on the rock. That rock is the faith and the relationship that you have with him. That's the rock that you build on top of, right? That's that good soil. You got to build on something. That's going to permeate and set the tone for everything. When they go to build these skyscrapers, they pick the right soil to dig deep and lay that foundation. Then the woman that you choose is the building material that you pick. What? I'm going to say that again. The woman that you choose is the building material. So what I realized that I was trying to hold on to in the past, I built with straw, wood, and wet popsicle sticks. How long would those houses last, right? Not very long. Now I realize because I had to ask, and again, this large y'all, it's true. It was wood, straw, and wet popsicle sticks, man. I'm trying to build a house with that. As soon as that wind came, it was gone. It was gone. So no, the three primary flavors of women that you want to pick are stone, steel, or brick. Stone, steel, or brick. Stone, steel, or brick. This is me. Stone, steel, or brick. Why? Stone. Stone may be a woman that's gone through some things. You know, stone is big, like a cobblestone house. You ever seen those cobblestone houses? They're made up of all these motley little pieces, but when they put them all together and they put the right mortar in it, it's a beautiful, sturdy home. This might be a woman who maybe she has a couple kids. Maybe she did have a history. Maybe these things did happen, but then she got it together. She realized when I was a child, I spake as a child, but now that she's a grown woman, she's walking and talking like a woman, and she desires different things in her life in a different season in her life. Okay? Still, still, these are the women that more than likely men you overlook. You overlook them because they're intellectual, they're quiet. But the truth is, again, just having a conversation. I don't know if these are all the women, these are all the men, but the truth is, um, it was particle board. Stucco. Yeah, it was particle board. Yeah, it was particle board. But still is a woman that is, she's a little bit more conservative, right? You may overlook her, but the truth is, she'll rock your world. And she's also, what do they build? The biggest skyscrapers that you see when you go into the city, you see these beautiful lights. What do they build those skyscrapers out of? Do they build them out of wood? Do they build them out of stucco? Do they build them out of cobblestone? No, they build them out of steel. Because, see, certain individuals are built for empire builders. If you're a man and like myself, I'm an empire builder, I desire to create an empire. So that empire, that steel, is covered with beautiful glass, beautiful mosaics. You can go deep, you can go high, and you can spread because it can carry. That makes sense? And lastly, is brick. Pun intended. Brick house. She's aesthetically beautiful on the outside. These are your nines or tens, but her heart is good on the inside. Her character is impeccable. She doesn't live on her looks alone. She knows loyalty. See, they're rare. All of them equally valuable, but you got to know what you're building. To the women that are paying attention to me, you looking for men. I know there's a lot of single women that are out there. I'm not trying to be with everybody I can't, so don't even go there, and I ain't trying to go there, right? But I can help you along the way. You got to know what you want to be paired up with. You got to know if that man's is he trying to build an empire? What type of a home is he trying to build? You can't go in there trying to change a man who's a mechanic and that's all he's ever been doing, and he wants to own his own mechanic shop, or he's happy being a mechanic. He can make a damn good living being a mechanic. He can make a damn good living being a truck driver. There are a lot of truck drivers and there are a lot of professional drivers. You got to know how to identify a driver. Identify the man that's going to go out, bust his ass, come back home, clean his hands to be with you. Understand that? You understand that? That's power. We do that. Why am I telling you this? Because I've done it. I've done it. You got to know if you're intellectual enough to sit down and have a conversation with a man like me. If you know you're not intellectual, I don't care how beautiful you are. If we can have a conversation, uh, hmm, ain't doing nothing. So know what you want to pair up with. You got to know, right? If you know you're paired up with an empire builder, as a person like myself, he's going to network. He's going to talk to different people. I have a lot of platonic. In fact, next week I'm going to speak as a host at the Black Austin ATX event. If you guys are in Austin or you know somebody in Austin, come out. Shameless plug. I'm the host of this event. This is a powerful event. I'm excited about it. The person that invited me is a married woman by the name of Nicole S. Cooper, right? We sat down and had coffee. I sit down and I have meetings, one-on-one meetings with women in business, right? Because the fact is, especially in this online space, y'all are kicking ass. Y'all are doing some things. But when you go to sit down and talk business, I'm not trying to get into your pants. I'm here to talk and see how we can collaborate and what we can do to create a bigger opportunity, a bigger bag. You got to know what you're dealing with. And if you're insecure and you think that he's trying to do all this, nah. Every man that's of high value is not trying to stick everything. He just ain't. He got options. I got options. That don't mean I want every option. Just because I got 8 out of 10 options don't mean that all of them are for me that I want to get it. I don't want that. There are other men that think the exact same way, but you got to know how to identify them and pay attention to them. So again, I get a little bit of a soapbox. Um, going back to that whole thing that brought us here, my revelation of realizing I had to think about where was I at in my season of my life when I paired up with that stucco, right? It was a different space. Now, I'm not gonna blanket everything again. Like I said, let's talk about me. Great, good times. Obviously, it was. You don't stay somewhere 12 years and you not be happy. You don't have a good time. I'd be lying to you. I had a lot of good times, a lot of great memories. But again, that freedom came from admitting that I loved them. We'll always have a space for the version of them that I had, but keep that distance. I'm not trying to go back. I'm not trying to go. Nope. Once a person shows you who they are, believe them. Once they show you a level of disrespect, believe them. You caught me once, but you won't catch me twice. Nope. That's done. So now we just continue to work on this tummy and flatten it out. Get the soldier ready for the foxhole. But no, and keep that relationship strong. For real. Stay focused. Because as a man, when you focus on your goals, the woman will come. The right helpmate will show up and continue on that journey because she's looking for you. She sees you as necessary. She's paired up with you. She wants to pair with you. Yeah, and that's value. Those are things that I learned. I didn't know. So again, thank you. I appreciate you guys taking time to come out. Look at here. We grew up tonight. We grew up to 35 once we stopped worrying about you guys. I appreciate it. That's good. Oh, 2,900 likes, man. I get excited about that. And whoever dropped a couple of roses, thank you so much. I appreciate that too. Again, this is not about me. I had to walk through the journey of getting strong to get my voice together. When you get a calling, sometimes a lot of times, let me talk about something. So I have so many women on the line. I believe they say 80% of the women file for divorce. Let me tell you something right now. A lot of times, I know it ain't for everybody. You give up too soon. You give up too soon. You throw away gold because see, men. I'm just gonna speak about men. I'm gonna leave you guys alone because I'm gonna speak about what I know. Most men, especially African Americans, we are developmentally delayed. We are developmentally delayed. With my hand raised, we are developmentally delayed. Now, what do I mean by that? Does that mean you disrespect me because I'm developmentally delayed? Okay, I'm not sitting in a short bus with a football helmet on. Okay, what that means is I'm trying to figure it out because I didn't have a role model in front of me to show me the way. I told you my story. I sat at the kitchen table at 30 years old, right? In my first marriage, trying to figure out, needing help. My mother couldn't help me. She had gone to as far as she can go. I needed assistance from a man. That man came in. He took me. If I was a 5, he took me to a 9 instantly. In the 10 years that he was in my life before God took him on, and I'm grateful for that. Developmental delayed. He himself was developmentally delayed, but he knew enough in his intelligence to pour into me. See, a lot of times you'll have a man, and because you don't see him as that thing that you now have got your emotions tied up into, you are or whatever, because you hit a certain mark in your life. I gotta get dig down right. Yes, I said it. I gotta have this. Be patient. You can only go as far as your man takes you and as far as his exposure. Again, most of the time, you can only go as far. So, a lot of times, there are a lot of grown women that are out here, had children, did the whole thing. But relationship wise, you guys, relationship wise, are still back in elementary and junior high school because that's as far as your lover took you. That's as far as your man took you. And then you see him somewhere else, i.e., like my situation, and he blossoms. I was never rocking the beard that you all loved today back then. I didn't have it, right? I didn't understand everything, but I was working towards it. That person would have reaped every last one of those benefits from the bank account to the bedroom. From the bank account to the bedroom. He has to mature in his time. He has to mature in his time.